Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today, I'm here with an extra special episode with an extra special guest. And if you don't recognize Mrs. Holly Naiman, I'm not sure if you go to a lot of conferences for the last 20 or so years around the receivables management industry, because she is absolutely a staple on the receivables social scene. Holly, how you doing today?
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is great.
I appreciate you joining me while I'm down here in Brazil for a quick chat. Really looking forward to seeing you at the CRS in a couple of weeks. But before we kind of jump into our conversation, could you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how you got to the seat that you're in today?
Sure. So Mark Naiman is my husband, as most of you know, and he clearly has been in the industry forever. But it all started back in 1994 when we met in college, and then we've just grown together and done many things. I was in the restaurant industry, and he was started in collections many, many years ago, and that's how he ended up where he is. And I ended up because we are life partners, which has been a really fun ride. I didn't know that I would be so involved in conferences at this point in my life. In the beginning of our relationship, not at all. In fact, I thought I was going to be running restaurants forever and nightclubs and bars and raising our children. But that quickly shifted and I became a stay-at-home mom. And then I started going to conferences with him about 12 or 13 years ago when I was like, oh, you get to go to Vegas all the time for conferences? I'm sure you're working. And then I went once and I realized, well, you actually are working. This is kind of a grind. And like now, instead of me making fun of you, how can I support you? And so then that's when I started going to all conferences with him, trying to support him in any way that I could, being his life partner and now his business partner. But yes.
Which works out incredibly well. And that's how you and I met through the years, right? Through all of the different conferences that we've been to and all the interactions that we've been able to have in all of these different cities, right? I've also been lucky enough to participate in Naiman family vacations for a number of years while we were traveling around the country, going to RMAI executive summits. So talk a little bit about what it is that you do today.
What I do today? Well, where do I begin? I basically manage our home. I am a stay-at-home mom. It is a full-time job. I am the queen of the castle, as Mark calls it. But I also help tremendously with two conferences, CRS and DCS. I do all the food and beverage for that, which is a lot also, which is so fun though. I really enjoy it. And with my background in the restaurant industry, I'm very detail oriented as far as like what the customer is going to want. Whereas Mark on his side is more about the content and, all the other things that are put into a conference, mainly content, education, communication, connecting people. I try to find value, share my value of connecting people through food because everyone loves to eat and drink. So that's
I think you kill it.
do. Thank you. Thank you.
CRS is like a well-known conference for that.
Thank you. Yeah. I've been told many times that like you have too much food. I'm like, no, can never have too much food. But also I can't take full credit. I mean, taking this over from Judy Hammond, who was incredible. Sure. She paved the way and I just hope that I do it justice for her as well. So
for so many of us, right? Judy paved the way in terms of creating associations, creating these events, and then creating these events that are just truly specific and unique in the food that's being served. I know it's a silly thing, but the CRS donuts are like one of my favorite things to happen on an annual basis. Like that's something I literally look forward to every year.
Yeah, we just posted a reel about that on our Instagram, the donuts going by. And I think Jeremiah Wheeler actually commented, my favorite. I'm like, yes, mine too. It's very funny.
It really is. I think it's that.
Again, those are talking points too, that when you're at a conference, sometimes I think conferences can get a little mundane at times, not like any specific conference, but when you're doing them all the time as if that's your business and you're constantly on the road, it can get a little bit much. So it's nice to have those kind of breakups and even just food. I mean, it sounds so silly, but I think one thing that we also try to do is really connect those relationships. I've built relationships with people in the space over the last 15 years or however many years. I don't even know when I started coming to conferences, but over all these years, I have built these. I feel like some of people's kids are like, I'm their auntie that they've never met. I'm like, hi, I'm your auntie. Like, I feel like I know everything about their children, everything about their lives. And it's really nice when you go to these things and you can just connect and feel like you aren't just doing business together, but
Mhm.
it's almost become like a family. And I
Mhm.
love that. I love that. So
Well, when I
that's
met
what I
my
like.
wife that I'm down here in Brazil marrying right now, the
Uh-huh.
first place that I took
Uh-huh.
her, like the first place we traveled together was CRS, so that she could meet my other family, right? So that she could meet
Yeah.
you and Mark and all of our friends and really family around the industry. And that
Sure.
kind of brings me back to the kind of the support part of the conversation because when you and I first met, I think actually our first time like really hanging out together was actually in a giant Ferris wheel going around in Las Vegas at
Yes, you saved
200
my life.
feet.
You actually saved my life. Uh-huh. Yeah. You saved me from
So
having a full on panic anxiety attack in the link Ferris wheel thing. Yes. And we went around twice.
we did go
Yes.
around twice. You did hold on there, and we talked about all different kinds of things, scuba diving and
Yep.
dolphins. And I got to be
Uh-huh.
honest, it was one of the life changing dinners for me because I walked out of there with like a real camaraderie with you and others that that really just kind of changed the way that I viewed the industry around me. And then as we go through the years, it's the support. My first executive summit on the RMAI board, one of my very clear memories was of us all being in the boardroom, going into the board meeting and you taking an order for anything that we may possibly need when we get out of this 6 hour meeting. And that was when it kind of struck me that like I'm never going to get as far as I can without appropriate support. Was it what is it mother instinct? Like what kind of brought you into that side of the support? I mean, it sounds like little things, but it's the biggest.
Sure, sure. I think one of the things is, I mean, clearly my love language is acts of service. I love to serve people. I love to make people happy. I just love taking care of people. That makes me happy. It brings me joy. It brings them joy. It brings me joy when they're happy and I can like solve an issue for them. And going back to what I had said before, and just how can I knew nothing about collections, nothing about accounts receivables whatsoever. And of course, I've learned over the years. However, in the beginning, it was more my focus. And I think that was the foundation of me even stepping into this role per se, even though it's still my role because my husband and I are life partners. So, like, we're still, I don't know, to transition that into conferences and that sort of thing. Yes, motherly for sure. But I think it's that roots of just the restaurant industry. I'm always serving. Like
Yeah.
as you know, we've been to dinner before. I'm like the worst person to go to dinner with. I'm like, they didn't pick up that cup. What are they doing? Like I just have this, it's pretty annoying when you go out to dinner with me. But my point is that
Never annoying.
it's all about acts of service and that's how it is. And I know, and again, from experience, like I remember Mark going into board meetings and being in there for hours. And I'm like, do you get a lunch break? Do you get to get like, what's going on? So I was like, you know what? I know what that experience is. And I'm going to make sure when they come out, they're all going to be stoked and get whatever it is they need. Yeah, I can also think of one when we were in Utah. And
Okay.
I think Kay was the president then. And I went to go, she was going to host a party and I went and drove around everywhere. And it was very difficult to find things in Utah on certain days. So it was quite the task, but it was my mission. And I was so excited. And Mark was like, oh, thank you so much. I'm like, you have no idea the amount of trips I had to make to the store, but it was fun. But I enjoy that and the joy it brings other people. And if it makes your day or anyone else's day that much easier or even comforting, I love to do that. And look, most people are away from their families at these things, and especially if they're
Mhm.
traveling. And it's nice to be able to sit down with someone and not talk business and just be like, tell me about your kids, tell me about your wife,
Yeah.
like, or tell me about your husband or whatever. It's just
Well, you've
nice.
also spent so much time showing people the ropes, right? So even beyond, just kind of taking care of other people, it's teaching other people what it is that we ultimately need at a conference and helping spouses, whether it be husbands or wives, or even those of us that are new to the industry to kind of get a better understanding of the social scene that's happening around us. And I think that's a really important factor. I mean, for me, I think some of the conversations that we've had through the years have changed my visual dynamic of what was going on around me, and kind of that historical context to who everybody is and how they all intertwine. Now, there's a handful of us now. I feel like I've been around long enough to provide a similar service in discussions,
Sure, of
but
course.
but the history and the understanding of the construct of all of these people, and it comes from those personal relationships that you've had through the years and those very personal conversations, and providing people with a sounding board or just an open ear to listen to whatever it is that was going on with us. It's really, I can't thank you enough for all of that. I
Aw,
know it's a little bit of I'm
thank
a
you.
fanboying a little bit here, but this is probably the first time I've been nervous to
Well,
interview somebody.
I appreciate the acknowledgement, but it's true though. And even I just think it's unique. I'm in this unique position because I did go with the intention of, you know, tell my first conference of being like, oh, you get to go to Vegas. You're having so much fun. And then it quickly shifted to like, okay, how can I support you? This is crazy. Like,
Hmm.
I cannot believe like you're not even sleeping. You're not even like, you're just grinding every day. And he wasn't the only one. Everyone's doing that. You're running to meeting and all these things. And then it became, I started working the booth and Mike Ben Dixon would be like, you need to be at the booth. And I'm like, okay, I'll be at the booth. Like, it was, and I'm just like, wow, if I can take some of that heat from Mike and take it off Mark, I'll be good. And I love Mike and Dixon. We always have had a great relationship. But I think that also brings some sort of value in now doing CRS and DCS, that when people are setting up their booths, I'm there like, how can I help you set it up? Because I know it's like you get it. I don't know, just all those little things of experience. And again, going back to just what my nature is to serve people, then it just comes naturally from my experiences with all of those things. But it's fun. But thank you. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you.
Let me ask you, what's your favorite part of all of this, right? Like we go to all these different places, we participate in all these different events. Like what's that thing that brings you kind of, I know it's acts of service, but what's bringing you the most joy in terms of what you're doing now with the food and beverage and kind of shaping an experience for your friends at this point?
Yeah, I think the thing that brings me most joy in this whole experience, not where I am now or not where I was, but really where the industry is as a whole and where people are. I mean, this industry has seen it's taken some hits and it's been,
Mhm.
as with everything, things ebb and flow. But to just have those relationships that I've built with people in the industry over the years, watch how they've been resilient through all of that and still come out on top. I mean, these are incredible people that we're surrounded by that are just so knowledgeable, so loving, just good people. And I love to see people succeed and I love to see them happy. I mean, I've seen people's families grow by many children. I've seen people get married. I've seen, and it's just so cool to see. That brings me the most joy out of all of this experience. Yes, I love serving people. Yes, Vegas is always fun, but whatever the case may be, executive retreats are fun. But at the end of the day, knowing that everyone is succeeding and pivoting and doing everything they can with the support of each other, that brings me joy. It's cool to see. It makes me very happy.
That that sounds awesome. So as you're kind of spending this time in the industry and you've been around enough to be able to provide some advice to not only those that are coming as a spouse or as a support, individual, but also for those that are new to the industry and are going to their first conferences. Any advice that you would give to somebody who's going to a conference for their first time?
Yes, definitely talk to everyone. Do not be intimidated. Go up, approach them, and don't be afraid to carry a notebook and take notes. I know you're a big one of that, Adam. It's always in your pocket. But that's really how I started learning people's names. And I'm still
Mhm.
horrible with names, but I can tell you your dog's name and I can tell you how old your kids are and what sport they play. And sometimes I just can't think of your name, but I'm terrible at that. So I utilize notes. But in the beginning, I would I would talk to people and literally take notes and then talk to Mark later and be like, oh, I met so and so and this is what they do. And they said they and that's just kind of how I learned what people did or
Mhm.
how things worked. And sometimes Mark would be like, oh, that's so great. You met him. Oh my gosh, great. I want to meet him too. Or, or, oh, I already know that person. And yes, that's great. Met them or whatever the case may be. But I think the most important thing for a newbie is to really, really, it's not about making that next business deal to me, I don't think. Because I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm sure it doesn't
I
just
agree.
happen like that. You build a relationship. And I think it's really
Mm-hmm.
important that you talk to everyone, spend time with everyone, make that eye contact, all those little things that make a difference, and take notes and follow up later. Don't go home with a bunch of notes and not do anything with them. Follow up later. So I think that's the most thing. And enjoy yourself. Just meet as many people as possible. Ask as many questions as possible.
I think that's a great piece of advice. People do business with the people they like, right? And I
Yes.
think that's a very important thing that's often overlooked. You may be the most qualified, but if people don't like you, if they don't enjoy spending time with you, if they don't feel comfortable that you're going to be able to help them solve problems when problems arise, and problems always arise, then you're not going to get that deal. I think you're providing some
Agreed.
incredible advice.
Thank you. And I think one more thing too, which I say to my
Please.
kids all the time, fix your face. That just think fix your face every time you're walking through a conference hall, because some people, and I catch myself, it looks like I am not happy, but I am. I'm just in my head. But always fix your
Hmm.
face, be aware of what you're looking like. And because when you walk through, you're not approachable if you're walking around like you just are not looking happy.
If you're looking
I was
at,
gonna say
yeah,
something.
resting bitch face is
You
generally
could
what I
say
call that.
a
And
bad
I,
sandwich. Yes. Okay. I didn't know if we could say that. Like, it don't look like
oh
you just
yeah,
ate
we
a shit
can.
sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is our
RBF
podcast,
is
Holly.
not
We get to say what we
RBF
want.
is not an approachable face. So, and I mean, that's building relationships is where it all begins. No one, like you
Hmm.
said, you're not gonna do business with someone that who A, walks around with resting bitch face, and B, is not approachable. I mean, you got to be
Yeah.
approachable.
I'd
So,
also
and
throw
you
out
got to,
that don't get too drunk. Don't
oh,
make
a
other people
thousand
have to bring
percent.
you to your room.
Well, that too. And that goes with fix your face. I mean, if you're shit faced and
Yeah,
you're
true.
drunk, then your face isn't going to be right. You're going to be like, hey, you might be smiling, but you're going to not look good. But yes, save that time for at post conference. Like
Yeah.
that's fine. Everyone loves to have a good time, but, and plus you could really mess up relationships that you built early in the day where people had respect for you. And then they're like, oh, aren't you still working? There's always a balance, right? Always a balance.
110%.
Yeah.
And
And
there's a
if you
time
are
and a
going to
place
get,
for everything.
for sure. And if you are going to get shit faced drunk, just make sure you have good friends that pull you out before your teeth are all dark black from
All red.
drinking red wine. Yeah.
Fair statement. Holly, I can't
I've seen
thank
it
you enough
all.
for coming on. Believe me, I've been sitting in the shadows. I mean, you've showed me so much of the ropes through the years and really helped me to understand
Thank
those
you.
dynamics, right? Some of us are just human computers, and it takes a little bit of coaxing and introduction and kind of a better visibility for us to really understand the environment around us. And you've really done a lot of that for me through the years, so I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. I think it's too, there's like, I always call my husband, he's like the nerd, but the nerd that's actually has social skills. I think a lot of people
Mhm.
can be really nerdy, and not as a bad term, just like you said, like computer people that are just like stuck behind a computer and they don't have, it's not that they don't have those social skills, they're just not as comfortable in their social skills as they are with their business or computer skills per se. Just like me trying to draft an email. I mean, yes, I can do that, but it's just like, oh, I'd much rather talk to you than draft an email. So we have this nice balance. So yes, mathlete, athlete, the one that talks. People talk too though, but there are some that I like to, and there are some in the industry that I like purposely talk to try and get that, tap into that personality of them, because once you do get them rolling, they're hilarious.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
And it's
And they
about
have a great voice.
identifying those gems, right? And being able to
Yeah,
interact with those people, draw them out of their shells, making other people feel comfortable. I realize that also falls under kind of the acts of service, but making other people feel
of
comfortable at a
course.
conference is a gift.
Yeah. Thank you.
So for those of you that are watching, I hope that you all are going to CRS. I know it's not an easy ticket to get in this industry, but if you are, please stop by, say hi to Holly, say hi to myself. I'll be there as well. If you have additional questions you'd like to ask Holly or myself, you can leave those in the comments on LinkedIn and YouTube. Otherwise, Holly, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
I really do
you.
appreciate
I'll
your
see you
time.
at CRS. Yeah, thank you so much. This was so fun. I don't know why I was nervous to talk to you. We've talked a million times. My kids like adore you, but I was like, what am I even going to talk about? I don't know what I do, but you helped me. Thank you.
Anytime. It was a lot of fun, and I'll be coming to CRS with wedding pictures. So for everybody
Yay!
that's watching,
Great.
thank you again. We'll see you all again soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.